we're ready to go. World Series 1 of Gran Turismo here in London is underway. Sai Suzuki leads the field across the line, followed by Miyazono, then Sato. So it's BMW, Subaru and Porsche down towards the first corner. Is anybody going to think about a dive into T1? I think they're a bit too far away, really, to be honest with you.
And here comes Kawakami in the Lexus, the reigning champions up into third position here. It's also looking to the inside, looking to retake that P3. He's there, he's alongside, already back up into third place goes Sato, so he has no interest in staying behind Team Lexus.
Toyota and Morimoto going to try and join the party. There's a bit of hip and shoulder, a bit of contact into the hairpin. That's going to send Sasaki wide and drop them down about 3 or 4 places as a result of that as well. So it's now starting to get a bit fast and a bit frantic with these medium shot runners. As Cockburn looks to the inside of Kawakami, and hits Morimoto there as well. There's more contact behind with Kawakami, then subsequently getting into the back of Cockburn. That's allowed the door to be open for Okamoto in the Nissan, who now drags alongside the Lexus.
Sato goes defensive to the inside, it's now too wide. Where will Kokuben go? Nowhere to go there, so Sato blocking the inside there, Kawakami also on the outside. Kokuben pushing his way through there up into P4. Kokuben looking to the outside of Sato, goes defensive in the Porsche. Will he be able to outbrake the Mazda on the outside? He tries to. He's still alongside the Porsche, fighting for dear life at P3. Keeps the pace for now, but on the inside there, who is that?
That's Goto. That was Goto on the inside with a massive send. The door was sort of half open there, and now it's Sato versus Goto, side by side on the exit of the corner. This is getting fast and frantic. Goto with the inside line against Sato, again soft versus medium. Now it's the Lamborghini driver that's up through and into the podium places. Sato almost faces the wall on the outside. Morimoto picks his pocket in the Toyota, and now also Cockburn ready to join in on the action.
The high speed game of chess. Suzuki there shows his hand. Up into first place goes Team BMW. Is that where Miyazono wants to be though? Because on the next lap, the final lap, he'll have the toe down to the hairpin. But Suzuki is not thinking about that right now. Miyazono looking to the inside. Will he ever go here? Yeah, showing his nose there, going for a very late move on Suzuki. They're just trying to unsettle him. 272 kilometers an hour. Suzuki goes defensive. Miyazono goes all the way to the outside. Can he try and get a butt? He does! Plays him like a fiddle. Up into first place goes the Kimi Miyazono. Masterful move there from the multiple champion. Up into lead he goes with only a few corners to go.
But it is then going to be maximum points in Gran Turismo World Series 1 here in London for Team Subaru and for Takuma Miyazono, who win the grand final. What a fantastic end to that race. Suzuki and BMW come over the line in second. It's Cockburn for Mazda on the podium in the 2025 Manufacturers' Cup for the GT World Series. Hello and welcome to Berlin for the 2025 Gran Turismo World Series. It is great to be back in front of our wonderful live audience. Oh, what a joy, what a joy. So good to be here. Action to come from the Manufacturers and the Nations Cup here tonight. Now, Jimmy, if we just recap on what happened in the Manufacturers Cup last time out, of course, it was delight for Team Subaru. For other drivers and teams, it didn't go quite so well though.
Yeah, interestingly, Team Lexus, who won the whole thing last year, 0 points, same to Porsche, very strong team, but it means today really makes a difference for them.
Absolutely. Well, of course, we've got 12 manufacturers all battling for 6 crucial points here tonight. It is going to be very, very exciting.
Yes, we actually have 4 brand new drivers for the Manufacturers' Cup, and we're going to be talking to a couple of them in a little bit of time, just to kind of meet and greet them, which is going to be kind of cool. I'm very interested to know how they're going to fare from, playing at home to then being sat in these hot seats, because it is a real big difference. But before we get into all that, I do have a question, and that is, do you like free stuff?
Don't forget that you can get involved with the World Series inside Gran Turismo 7 with the bonus campaign. Just click on the Winners Campaign banner on the GT7 World Map, and that's going to give you the chance to win 1 million credits for each of the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers' Cup by predicting who's going to win. Just think of all the stuff you could buy with that. Don't forget that you can enter and vote right up until the start of each Grand Final. Good luck. Watch the World Series broadcast through your GT7 game, and you'll unlock some special in-game rewards through the Viewers Campaign. Watching the Manufacturers' Cup means you'll be gifted a car with the winning team's livery. Tune in and claim your rewards. Everyone likes free stuff, myself included, and here's your chance to grab some.
So we have some very, very exciting news, which is as of now, as of round 2, we can officially announce that Dunlop are the official tyre supplier for the Gran Turismo World Series. Let's take a look. Now, to talk about this very exciting brand new partnership, we have Tochido-san from Dunlop and, of course, Kazunori Yamauchi, who is the series producer of Gran Turismo. So, first of all, Tochido-san, welcome to the Gran Turismo family. What has brought you here to come join us?
はい、皆さんこんばんは。今日私たちダンロップがグランツーリスモワールドシリーズに参加し、オフィシャルタイヤパートナーに就任することを発表でき、大変嬉しく光栄に思っています。
So today, good evening, everyone. I'm very happy and honored to be able to announce that we, Dunlop, will take part in the Gran Turismo World Series as the official tire partner.
And we are very, very excited to have you. Now, of course, Dunlop has a rich history in motorsport and innovation. So what was your decision to come and join sim racing?
はい、私たちは100年以上にわたって世界各地でレースやラリーに挑んでタイヤと技術を鍛えてきました。そして現在ではタイヤ開発はバーチャル環境でも行われております。このグランツーリスモに搭載されているような最先端のシミュレーション技術を活用することで、高性能タイヤを開発することが可能になっています。
So we've been active in racing and rallying all over the world for the last 100 years now, and we've been always continuing to refine our tires and technology in that way. And today, tire development is also being done virtually as well. And by using cutting-edge simulation technology like you see in Gran Turismo, this is how we're able to produce our high-performance tires.
このリアルとバーチャルの融合こそがグランツーリスモとのパートナーシップを必然的なものにしています。そしてグランツーリスモワールドシリーズはモータースポーツの未来を体現していると思っています。 それは全ての人に開かれてグローバルでデジタルでそして熾烈に競い合う世界です。これらの価値観というものは私たちダンロップが日々活動の中で大切にしているものであります。
And this fusion of the real and virtual is what makes the partnership with Gran Turismo a natural choice. And the Gran Turismo World Series represents the future of motorsports. It's a world in which it is open to everyone, globally and digitally, enabling fierce competition for everyone who participates. And these values are also things that Dunlop values most in our daily undertakings as well.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, I think it's fair to say we're all pretty big Gran Turismo fans, right? Yeah? Here in this room, in our home? Yamauchi-san, obviously Gran Turismo is renowned for its innovation and its realism. So what does having a partnership with Dunlop mean for the future of all of the Gran Turismo players here and at home?
ですね、まず長い歴史と高い技術力を持っているダンロップの皆さんとこうしてパートナーシップを結べたこと、大変光栄に思っています。
So first off, I'm very honored to be able to have this partnership with a company like Dunlop that has this very long history and technological prowess.
僕ら30年ぐらいザ・リアルドライビングシミュレーター作ってるわけですけれども、ドライビングシミュレーターって結局行き着く先はタイヤだったりするんですよね。そこが一番ミステリアスで奥が深いところなんです。なのでこのパートナーシップを通じて、ダンロップの皆さんの技術的な知見が、僕らに流れてくる、あるいは僕らのシミュレーションの技術をダンロップの皆さんに提供することによって、新しいタイヤの世界、新しい自動車の世界を作っていけたらいいなと思っています。
Yeah, so we've been working and creating the real driving simulator for 30 years now, and one of the most important things and one of the most mysterious things about recreating a car in the virtual world is actually the tires. And having this partnership with Dunlop, we're hoping that they will be able to convey some of their technical knowledge to us, and at the same time, for us to provide the simulation technology that may open new worlds for the development of tires and cars.
Well, I'm excited to see that. You guys are excited to see that, right? So just very quickly before we go, Tachido-san, do you have anything that you would like to say to Kazunori or the Gran Turismo fans out there?
はい、山内さん、本当に私たちを快くグランツーリスモファミリーの一員として迎えてくださりましてありがとうございます。山内さん、そしてポリフォニーデジタルの皆さんと共にこれから取り組んでいけることを心から楽しみにしています。
Yeah, so I really want to thank Yamauchi-san for welcoming us as a member of the Gran Turismo family, and we're looking very forward to working with Yamauchi-san and everyone at Polyphony Digital. And
からグランツーリスモファンの皆さんへ、皆さんの楽しみをより豊かで充実したものにするために私たち本当にしっかり貢献してまいりたいと思います。
And lastly, to all the drivers competing today, we would like to wish you luck and the best race possible.
Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us, Tachido-san. Thank you so much.
から最後にですね、今日レースに臨むドライバーの皆さんへご健闘をお祈りしています。最高のレースを期待しています。
So we'd like to contribute to the effort to enrich the enjoyment of all Gran Turismo fans out there. And again, good luck to all the drivers today.
Yeah, good luck to round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much.
皆さんこのレース楽しんでってくださいね。
So please enjoy the races today.
Now, before we go off, we do hope that you followed all of the story from round one in London. And we're a bit annoyed if you didn't, but we're not going to hold it against you. So we've done a little recap for you.
Well, we're ready to go. World Series 1 of Gran Turismo here in London is underway. Into the hairpin, that's going to send Sasaki wide and drop them down about 3 or 4 places as a result of that as well. So it's now starting to get a bit fast and a bit frantic with these medium shot runners.
Where will Kokuman go? Nowhere to go there. So Sato blocking the inside there. Kawakami also the outside. Kokuman pushing his way through there up into P4. for dear life for P3. Keeps the pace for now, but on the inside there, who is that?
That's Gotto. That was Gotto on the inside with a massive send. The door was sort of half open there, and now it's Sato versus Gotto.
The high speed game of chess. So Suzuki there shows his hand. Up into first place goes Team BMW. Is that where Miyazono wants to be, though? Because on the next lap, the final lap, he'll have the toe down to him. But Suzuki is not thinking about that right now. Miyazono looking to the inside. Will he ever go here? Yeah, showing his nose there, going for a very late move on Suzuki. They're just trying to unsettle him to the outside. Can he try and get him back? He does! Plays him like a fiddle up into first place.
Then going to be maximum points in Gran Turismo World Series 1 here in London for Team Subaru and for Takuma Miyazono, who win the grand final. Well, now it's time to meet our drivers here for Gran Turismo World Series 2 in Berlin. Please welcome, driving for Team Porsche, all the way from Spain, it's Jose Serrano. Jose is the 2023 Nations Cup World Champion, part of Team Spain, and he'll be able to add to his points tally. Lucas Bonelli drives for Mercedes-AMG. He's the most experienced driver in that team for 2025. Let's see what the Brazilian driver is able to do. Team Lexus, Giorgio Mangano is behind the wheel here this weekend, the Italian driver. He competed at the first ever World Series event back in 2018. Valerio Gallo for Honda, he's the 2021 Nations Cup World Champion, but he's yet to win an event here in the Manufacturers' Cup. Naif Al-Lifa for Lamborghini, it's his debut Gran Turismo World Series event. Give it up. Another debutant making his debut on the international stage tonight, the 30-year-old João Jesus for Ferrari. Let's see what the Portuguese driver can do here in Berlin. Another debutant for McLaren, it's Jay Murphy, 21 years old. Let's see what his launch onto the international stage will be like. And the Polish driver, Mikołaj Sejak, makes his debut here tonight as well. He's just 18 years old. He's driving for Team Nissan. Kai de Bruin is driving for Team Toyota. He's seeking his first ever Gran Turismo World Series win here tonight. P3 in London with Team Mazda. They've got Paul Ura behind the wheel here this evening. He's the Nations Cup and Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup champion of 2023. Team BMW, second in London. They've got Thomas Laboutelet behind the wheel. His third year driving for that team. Let's see whether they can add to their podium tally here tonight. And the winners from London, Team Subaru, have got Kylian Drumont behind the wheel. The 21-year-old is one of the quickest drivers on Gran Turismo. He's a former Manufacturers' Cup champion with Subaru back in 2022. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our 12 drivers. We now ask you to please stand, if you're able, for our national anthem of our host nation here in Germany.
Yes, we are super happy to be here in Berlin. What a great city. The drivers have been out, they've been enjoying their time here, but now it's time to be getting serious. They've practiced just about as much as they're going to be able to. So now it's going to be coming to crunch time. Oh, yes. So while they get themselves set up, and we're going to have that grand final in just a few moments, why don't we take a little bit of a look at the competition format?
The Nations Cup features the best 12 drivers in the world from the 2025 Online Qualifiers. 9 countries are participating in the Nations Cup World Series this season. Spain, France and Japan are the most represented countries with 2 drivers each. All of the drivers will get the chance to set a time over a one-lap attack to determine the grid for the sprint race.
In the sprint, drivers will get behind the wheel of the Porsche 962C.
And how well they perform will determine their spot for the start of the grand final. All 12 drivers.
So the points rankings then for the Manufacturers' Cup for round 2. Subaru, of course, lead it after winning in London in emphatic style with Takuma Miyazono. BMW there in second place and Mazda hot on their heels in third.
Yeah, but more importantly, a lot of very, very quick teams who have not scored points yet. Honda, we've got Gallo with him today. We've got Lexus, our champions from last year. And of course, you mentioned Porsche as well, someone who's usually at the top of the sheets, not doing so well. But all to play for, points still out there. Let's see if they can improve in their positions.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see how that all plays out. But of course, we've got some new names on the grid here this weekend. And Jules is down catching up with a couple of them.
Yes, I am. I'm here with Joao Jesus and Jay Murphy, who are 2 of our 4 new drivers in the manufacturer. Give them a welcome. Come on, give them a round of applause. Done very well to get here. We only have the best of the best. First of all, guys, welcome to the Gran Turismo family. It's very nice for you to be here. How have you found it? Because obviously, you know, you play the game at home, you watch it at home. Has it been like what you thought it was going to be to actually be here at a live event?
No, I thought it would be maybe a little bit different, but...
Like, in what way? More confetti? More fireworks?
I thought there'd be a lot less, because you're treated very well out here and there's amazing people behind the scene and they do a really good job and pay a lot of money for us to be here, so really appreciate everything they've given us.
Has it been fun? Have you been enjoying like meeting all the... Okay, so obviously you're meeting the drivers a lot, you know, face to face. Have you made some new friends?
Yeah, made some new friends. It's been a lot of fun to meet everyone you compete online. And they've all been very friendly. They didn't reveal the strategy, but we're all going to do our best and try to make the best result possible. So.
I mean, how do you feel you're going to do? Because obviously playing at home, you know, doing kind of online qualifier stuff like that. When you're sitting in those seats, it feels quite different. How do you think you're going to do? Do you think you're going to be okay? Do you feel quite calm?
I think I'll do pretty good. For the first qualifying, maybe a little bit not as confident as I would have thought. The equipment is a little bit different, but once you get used to it a few laps, and I've had a bad moment already with the mistake, so hopefully that's the last one that I'll have for the rest of today.
You'll get used to it. And how do you think you're going to do?
A bit nervous and a bit different, but you just gotta adapt and try to stay calm and do your best.
Just do some nice calm breathing exercises and you'll be okay. It'll all come back to you. Well, a big welcome to brand new members of our Gran Turismo family. Thank you for joining us. Good luck in the race. Back to Tom and Jimmy.
Well, lovely to catch up there with Jay Murphy and Joao Jesus. Joao Jesus looks like he gave a great hug. Massive biceps. Anyway, driver lineup, 12 of them on the grid here for the Manufacturers' Cup here tonight. Jimmy, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to seeing what Subaru are going to do, especially with Kylian Drumont behind the wheel.
Yeah, such a strong lineup here today. I mean, we always say this, but as these events have gone on, they get faster and faster and faster, and it's so cool to see the strength of field now. Of course, we've been to London already. Right now, we're at Berlin. Where are we going next, Tom?
Oh, we're off to Los Angeles, which I am very excited about in, the depths of November. So it should be still quite nice there weather-wise. Tickets are on sale for that now. And then the World Finals taking place in Fukuoka in Japan. A new venue, a new location on the Gran Turismo World Series calendar. As I said, you can buy tickets, scan the QR code on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. It'll give you all the details on that. And tickets for Fukuoka will not be far around the corner as well. We're very much excited to see you there and looking forward to seeing how the Gran Turismo World Series is going to develop over the course of 2025 and as we get ready to crown our world champions right before Christmas. It is going to be, well, an exciting present, I'm sure, for some drivers and some teams. Let's see whether they'll be adding to that tally here tonight. Of course, we've got one race for them to come here, but we had a qualifying session earlier on today. Let's give you some highlights of what happened. So, drivers went out on track at the Nürburgring 24-hour layout. One lap shootout right to the checkered flag. Jose Serrano in the Porsche was first up. It was looking pretty handy behind the wheel of that car. They did some BOP adjustments back in the Gran Turismo land, and we were hoping to see Porsche elevating themselves up the order. The first lap time we saw on the door, though, for Serrano was an 8:04.5, so not bad at all there for the Spaniard, but he was a bit disappointed, felt that there was more room left on the table.
Then we had Sajak a bit later on in the session after we had a few more times coming in that GTR Nismo, of course, myself, a very unashamed Nissan fan, threatening Jose Serrano's time, but just only a 1/10 of a second slower. But not a bad effort there from a Nissan driver.
Yeah.
But he's now the event though, is he?
Very well, Mikolaj Sejak, for his first ever Gran Turismo World Series event, to get it up into second place with just a couple of drivers left remaining. Not bad at all. But the BMW, we know, was really, really quick for World Series 1 back in London. They just missed out on victory by a hair's breadth when they were overtaken by Subaru in the dying stages. So it was all eyes on Thomas Laboutelet to see what he was going to be able to do. He came to the timing line, though, and he put it up fastest, an 8:04.3. Couple of tenths of a second to the good of Jose Serrano, and all that left was Kylian Drumont in the Subaru. We know the Achilles heel of that car has been straight line speed. We know, of course, down the Dottinger Her, there's a long straight where they could potentially have been losing time.
A really good midsection there from Kylian Drumont. So it's just a drive to the line for Team Subaru. 8:04.3 to beat from Thomas Laboutelet in that BMW M6. And Drumont came across the line to go fastest, the only man to go into the 8:03s. An awesome time there from him, putting Subaru at the front of the pack.
Fantastic job from Kylian Drumont and from Team Subaru to bag pole position, continuing where they left off in London. Thomas Laboutelet and BMW will join them on the front row. Then it's Porsche with Serrano, Sejak on his debut in fourth place ahead of Jura, Gallo, Lanuza with Alfler, with then Brun, Mangano, Jesus and Kamada completing the grid. So yeah, really exciting to see what is going to happen ahead of the grand final. Of course, 6 points on offer for the grand final here today as well. Points all the way down to sixth place. So, you know, let's be fair. There's 12 drivers on the grid here. 6 of them are going to be delighted. 6 of them are going to be pretty disappointed.
They're all super competitive as well, as you saw. I mean, Sajak there, it's like, oh man, I'm a couple of attempts off. Let me throw my headset across the room. But you might have seen the circuit already. Let's go into a bit more detail, because it's one that I'm fairly familiar with nowadays. That's right, we're going to, I think, the greatest piece of tarmac in the world. It is the Nürburgring 24-hour layout, which is the GP circuit with this just little mountain road kind of thing attached to the end of it.
I've seen that somewhere before. Yeah. Are you contractually bound to talk about it in a positive light now?
Yeah, you know what, definitely. It's my favourite circuit in the world. I can't think of a better place to test our drivers, especially as we're here in Germany as well. 6 laps, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but 6 laps around there, it's about 40 minutes or so of racing. Here's our suggested tyre strategy. What we tend to do, we get this given to us, and then we go talk to the players and say, what do you think?
Yeah.
And we tend to get a little bit of a different opinion. Some think that soft tyre, if they're very careful, can last 2 laps. Others think not a chance.
They're going to have to be driving like a granny in the supermarket car park to get 2 laps out of those soft tyres, I have to say. You can see the pace difference between the mediums and the hards there as well. So big difference in that. So yeah, it's something to really consider over the course of this one. And as Jimmy said, very sort of fast middle speed corners in the midsection, so you're putting a lot of wear on the outside fronts and so on and so forth, aren't you?
Yeah, and speaking of, you know, the fast flowing section, I thought we'd break down a bit of a section of the Nürburgring. T13 all the way down.
Please do.
To the Nürburgring proper, the Northern Loop, the Nordschleife. First, this has been switched curb. Break early than you think, get to Hatson back now, this long right-hander. I might have touched the curb a little bit there, but don't tell anyone there. Really bumpy here in real life. Touch the brakes, the car squirms over. The game around the Nordschleife, you can touch these curbs on either side. Nice driving, Jimmy, not so bad. But now, really important corner here, this little right-left. You get a long straight up this, so exit is everything. You can use all the road on the outside. And then we come up to the Flugplatz. Used to be of corner, but now a bit flatter. So a little bit of a lift for here. I think our competitors might be able to go flatter there, feeling adventurous. And then we just let the car run free. In this car, the V8, of course, in front of this AMG, just up to 260, 270 kilometers an hour as you come down towards Schwedenkreuz. Please Excuse my pronunciation, I'm trying my best. I'm not German. Really fast left-hander, flat through here, almost 260 Ks on the apex, then hard on the anchors down to Arenberg. And that's just a third of the circuit, Tom. That's a third of the Nordschleife right there.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Jimmy. It's a good thing you've got some experience, really. I like the pronunciations. Let's see who, though, the audience thought were going to be in with a chance of taking victory. Well, Porsche and Jose Serrano were at the top of the pile. You can see Kylian Drumont there down in 4th place. Despite starting on pole position, he was only sharing 10% of the vote. Mazda and Honda up there as well as BMW a little bit further down. So, yeah, a bit of an interesting mix of things. And now the drivers getting their game faces on. 6 laps of action at the Nordschleife circuit, the Nürburgring 24-hour layout, and yeah, I'm really interested to see how this one is going to play out, because overtaking once you get off the GP circuit, it's pretty difficult given the nature of the Nordschleife.
Yeah, you say that, but you know what? You ain't trying hard enough. You can pass anywhere if you're brave enough. Maybe without contact, who knows? But, you know, as we're showing there, that run into Arenberg, you can get a move there around the outside super easy if you're feeling adventurous.
Absolutely. Well, let's head down then to Jules as we get ready to go for the start of the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup here in Berlin.
Oh yes, it is now just moments away from the grand final. Guys, are you ready to see some of the best racing of your life? Oh my goodness, it is now time for the Manufacturers' Cup. Let's go!
12 drivers ready to go, 12 manufacturers, 6 points on offer here in Berlin for Gran Turismo World Series 2. How is this one going to play out, and how are the championship tables going to reflect the result as we head further into the World Series of this season? Well, Kylian Drumont continues the strong momentum for Subaru as they line up on pole position here today with Thomas Laboutelet and BMW alongside. Then it's Porsche. Disappointment in London. They bounced back to start P3 ahead of Nikolai Sedjak in 4th position, the Polish driver who makes his debut for Nissan. Then it's Pole Europe for Mazda, P5. Valerio Gallo in the Honda NSX is 6th on the grid. Lucas Bonelli lines up P7 for Mercedes AMG, and Al Flair with the Saudi Arabian driver for Toyota, P8. De Bruyne lines up P9. And then you've got Giorgio Mangino in 10th position for Lexus. João Jesus for Ferrari in 11th position. And Jay Murphy, the McLaren driver. A lot of support for him here tonight. And now, of course, our first look at the tyre strategies for the first time. Now, we can see the top two, Drumont and Laboutelet, they've started on the soft composite tyre, which to me indicates that they're going to try and make a break early.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've seen the pace from Drumont in qualifying, and of course Laboutelet, both very quick over a single lap. Last thing they want to do is ruin the ability to run that pace by running in a pack. So, yeah, go for soft tyre. I'm surprised to see Sedjak there running the hard tyre in P4. So he will be basically in the way of all the medium runners behind. But the longer he can keep them there, the better for his race. So definitely some strategy in those tyre calls already.
Yeah, it seems like he's sort of trying to go ugly early, as it were. Get those hard tyres out of the way as soon as he possibly can. Hold the pack up while they're all quite close behind and see whether he can use that to his advantage. Well, let's see what will happen. Who has called the strategy right? Who will be taking the checkered flag and those all-important 6 points? We're about to find out as Gran Turismo World Series 2 for the Manufacturers' Cup here in Berlin is underway. Drumont and Subaru lead them down towards the first corner, followed by Laboutelet and then Serrano and then Sedjak in the Porsche and the Nissan respectively. Don't expect any dive bombs down into that first corner, but Serrano closing up. I say that, there are some dive bombs taking place as Jura is making hay whilst the sun shines. He's already on the attack against Sedjak, but Sedjak goes back through on Valerio Gallo as well as Jura, back up into 4th. So moves being made in the mid-pack there, and Sedjak looking a little bit vulnerable as we expected on those hard tyres.
Yeah, Sedjak there showing Jura the outside of the circuit, really hard defending early on, but you're seeing the difference there, those hard tyres. They take a while to fire up, they're going to be cold right now. When they're cold, they have less grip. So right now, Ura, Benelli, Gallo all making advantage of the fact they have a softer compound, is up to temperature quicker, and they're just able to drive by him like he's standing still. You could argue maybe that's not a bad thing because they're not going to squabble so much, but if you said Jack, you've gone from 4th to 7th in about 3 corners.
Yeah, losing track position means, of course, you're going to have to gain that a little bit later on. You can see fairly robust driving from Sejak coming through the Michael Schumacher S there as well. He's just got Alifa in the Lamborghini right behind him, who's on the medium compound of tyres. Then you've got 3 other hard shod runners. Meanwhile, sharp end of this race, nothing really to report from Drumont and Laboutelet. They've cleared off about a second or so ahead of Jose Serrano, as one would begin to expect. First corner incident here is under investigation, as we can see on our screen as well. We'd love to get a replay of that and see exactly what happened. We did see some dive bombs to the inside there for Pol Euro, but was there a bit more that meets the eye that we perhaps didn't quite manage to make a break of? Either way, we go on to the Nordschleife layout for the first time, and it's Drumont in front from Laboutelet, and now is where those soft tyres on these medium speed corners are going to be really having their advantage.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know the GP circuit is in any way related to this track when you get onto it. It's completely different. You go from long runoffs to barriers being far away, gravel traps, to basically if you make a mistake, you are in that barrier. And lots of curves here, you have to memorise which ones you can and which ones you can't touch. It's a unique challenge just to get round here on your own, let alone when you're sharing the circuit with 11 other maniacs. So a lot of fun there. But speaking of maniacs, it's Valerio Gallo in the NSX. Very, very fast driver and trying to close the gap between himself and Jose Serrano. So Serrano is the leader of the medium runners. This is something you have to keep an eye on right now as we go to the front of the field. Drumont having to try and defend from Thomas Laboutelet. He's going to look maybe around the outside here. Not really a spot to get that done. But again, we're seeing the Achilles heel of that Subaru. The BMW able to drive up to the back of it, but decides better of it as Thomas Laboutelet. He's going to stay in second place for now.
Drumont a little bit deep though going into that right-hander. I wonder if that might have compromised him a little bit, but he's certainly feeling the pressure here of his compatriot. 2 Frenchmen at the sharp end of this race, and you can see how Laboutelet is able to use that slipstream to his advantage to close up. I don't think he's going to invent something into this section of the circuit, because it will both send them into the barrier, and indeed Laboutelet thinks better of it. But the question is here for Kylian Drumont, how long can he keep Laboutelet behind? Is it going to cost them time though as well? Because Serrano's there, 2 seconds off the back of them. If the top 2 start squabbling amongst one another, all that's going to do is bring them back into the gap that they've created and bring Serrano Gallo potentially into play for this.
You have to think of the long game here. Everyone's got different strategies. Everyone's trying their own little thing here. So I think if I'm Thomas Laboutelet, that BMW, I'm thinking, right, okay, I know I'm going to pass this guy on the back straight if I'm within half a second. So I'll just stay there for now and let this guy pull me along, because in the medium speed corners, that Subaru is super quick. Anyway, back to T1. What was incident here with Giorgio Mangano? Contact there. Oh, it's a Supra there. Toyota getting spun, kind of ruined, but then Mangano getting spat out by João Jesus there. So I'm not quite sure. No further action from the stewards. I think that was just everyone tried to go for the same bit of tarmac there, didn't they?
It's difficult, isn't it, when it concertinas up in corners like that, especially in the first corner, and you know it's not a particularly wide part of the circuit. It really does bottleneck up. So I guess race direction just deeming it, first corner dramas, don't do it again. As long as that doesn't happen any further times, then it should be all right. So let's look at the drivers here who are on the hard compounds of tyres, the likes of Sejak, Jesus, De Bruyne and Murphy. How are they going to play this one? Because, of course, they're hemorrhaging time at the moment. They're sort of taking the pain early on, but in theory, the race will come back to them in the latter stages, depending on what strategies they go for. You can see that brought up on our screen at the moment. You can get 2 laps out the soft tyres if you're particularly careful. But if you're the likes of Laboutelet and Drumont, I mean, look, they've cleared off 3 seconds at the sharp end of this one. They're not hanging about here. They're not saving their tyres, are they?
If you look at this as well, the difference here in speed up the hill. Just in that draft, I'm surprised the Laboutelet went for 6th gear there, maybe just to save that little bit of fuel. Fuel is also a concern around here, by the way. You have to make sure you're fueled up the right amount to get to the end. Sounds simple, but it's hard to do in practice when you're there driving these things around the ring. But yeah, as you say, Tom, it's just trying to make sure you don't fall too far back at this point. And it just, I get the impression that Laboutelet is just kind of biding his time. We see the background there, Jose Serrano, that is the gap visually to third position at the start of those medium runners. So for the carousel for the first time, great bit of racetrack that. You really feel the car fighting for its life through there. And Gallo there leading the charge for 4th place onwards. But I say, if anything, falling back from Serrano a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, because I was mentioning about the hard shot runners, you know, damage limitation for them, but exactly the same story for the medium shot runners. You've got now 3 sort of sets of drivers, all in their own group, all running their own strategies, and this is what happens in the manufacturers' cup when you have races like this, is that, you know, they're not necessarily the most action-packed ones in the first couple of laps, but towards the end, once all the strategies all work out, the fuel stops, the tyre saving, and so on and so forth, once they've all taken place, you get a really exciting crescendo to this race. So the likes of Drummond and Laboutelet, fine, the race is great for them in these early stages of it, but the latter stages, they're going to be taking that pain that the drivers on the medium and the hard runners are suffering from now. So they're going to be slower towards the end of the race, and the converse for those behind.
They're coming through the last third of the Nordschleife. Now, my favourite bit of racetrack this, it's just so fast, so flowing. You have to really trust the car through here, especially through this section here. You come over the Flansgarten jump, see it coming off the floor there, and then you're met immediately with the Stefan Beloff S coming up now, where the car just skips all over the place. You almost have to just trust in that mysterious aerodynamic thing that you can't see, but it is there, and then just thread the car through the curb. It's an exhilarating piece of racetrack, but it is very much one at a time through there, as Gallo has pulled away slightly from Paul Euro. Now, what I'm interested in seeing now is whether Drummond has managed to gap Laboutelet, which he has a little bit, a second now. That is kind of getting out of draft range, so that might mean Laboutelet won't be able to pass here going down towards T1.
Yeah, let's see whether Laboutelet can use the straight line speed to his advantage, if he can close up, as you say, from that gap that has been created. What about Lucas Benelli, Mercedes AMG? Benelli, we can see him there, very interesting driving position that he has. He sort of sits quite close to the wheel, almost on it really, whereas you look at Paul Euro, much more relaxed in terms of his arm positioning there. And now Benelli has got the bit between his teeth, because he's got the slipstream and he's got the straight line speed to take advantage of Paul Euro as we come down the Döttinger Höhe. Side by side we go between the Mazda and the Mercedes. It's going to be nice and easy for the Mercedes to go through, but what about, yeah, exactly that, what I was about to say, the Honda, because they're going to get boxed in here. Valerio Gallo loses 1 place, loses 2 places potentially, because Paul Euro is now side by side with Gallo as they come up and over the rise. It's always a bit tense and a bit sketchy coming through here 2 by 2, but Gallo just decides to not fight it too hard as the top 2 at the sharp end of this one come into the pit lane at the end of the first lap off the soft tyres. Now, which way are they going to go in terms of their strategy?
Yeah, fresh set of the virtual Dunlop tyres going on. Our first time, our first Dunlop pit stop, I think this is, Tom. So cool to have Dunlop, of course, now as official partner of the Gran Turismo World Series. What's going on, though? So softs come off, mediums go on there for Drummond. Same for Laboutelet as well. Kind of Bruin coming in, getting off those hard compounded tyres early. Only doing 1 lap on those. So I guess going for 3 on the medium then, or 4 on the medium, it must be.
It's going to be an interesting one to see how that works out. You know, medium tyres, they're okay, but, you know, in terms of their longevity, certainly not as good as the hard tyres. The converse is the hard tyres are a few seconds a lap slower than the medium. So I guess he's just trying to take the pain for that and get off it. You can see there he's a full-time automotive engineering student, is Kai de Bruin, so he's well versed in sort of adapting to changes on the fly. And let's see whether that's one that will pay off for the Dutchman, who, of course, as we know, is still seeking his first podium in the Gran Turismo World Series. Meanwhile, sharp end of this race is now occupied by Jose Serrano, who's in the lead. Lucas Benelli, who, of course, we saw getting ahead of Jura and Gallo down the Döttinger Höhe at the end of the last lap, now sits in second in the Mercedes AMG. Jura's into third. Gallo's here just keeping a watching brief in 4th place. It's interesting as well, looking at the likes of Drummond and Laboutelet, because they went from the soft to the medium tyres. I mean, Laboutelet, he has to follow what Drummond's doing if he doesn't want to lose track position. That's the problem with being second on the road. You've kind of got to follow the strategy and then work it out later on.
Yeah, I mean, that's not always a bad thing, though, because I think if the positions were reversed, you'd just see the same sort of thing. You'd see the Laboutelet leading from Drummond. It would just be a waiting game. Sometimes it is that. I mean, it's a high-speed game of chess. I say that a lot in these broadcasts because it is. These guys are at the level now where strategy often decides the race. The actual drive performance is so close. So we'll keep an eye on those and keep you informed. Benelli struggling there for the first part of the Hutzenbach complex, just trying to get the car turned in. Of course, that AMG front engine, so prone to sometimes a little bit of understeer. Looks like he's really struggling with the front end through there, but able to keep the pace for now. Meanwhile, looking down the field, Sejak on the hard compounded tyre is ahead of Giorgio Mangano, who started on the medium. So Sejak having a very good race at the moment, despite starting on that slower tyre. Yeah,
we know that Mangano, of course, was caught in some bother, don't we, down at that first corner, which kind of started the Lexus drivers' race off on the back foot, and they've, bear in mind they're reigning champions. Lexus have had a dog's day so far of 2025. It's not been brilliant, pointless in London, and now down in 7th place for this. They'll be really hoping for fortune to favour them in the second half of this race, and also in the second half of the Gran Turismo World Series for 2025 as well. Benelli a little bit wide there, just going through that right-hander. Might allow Jura and Gallo to close up just a touch. It's, again, very much one at a time through this part of the lap, but you wonder whether Benelli's just starting to push a little bit harder, maybe just making a couple of mistakes and allowing a bit of a sniff of an opportunity here for Jura and Gallo possibly to see where Benelli is a little bit weaker, maybe on the exits of the corners or the entries to the corners, wherever it may be, and use that to their advantage to try and create an overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, I get the impression Benelli actually is maybe holding these guys up a little bit at the moment. We'll see though. He needs to try and bridge that gap. Because we know Paul Jura will go for a move. We know Gallo will go for a move if he sees one there. So always one to watch out for.
So Serrano it is at least 2.5 seconds to the sharp end of this race. He's still got the 3 hard shot runners of Sejak, Jesus and Murphy, the 3 newcomers, 3 out of 4 newcomers who are racing this one. I have to say, Nafir Al-Faliya, the Saudi Arabian driver making his debut in this event, doing a great job of things in the Lamborghini, currently sitting in P5. Meanwhile, this is Mangano returning the favour on Sejak, just coming through that left-hander.
Yeah, I think that's all the indicator on there from Sejak, just basically saying, yeah, go on, mate, off you go, don't worry about it. Pull me along, and yeah, there they are. Jesus there as well, of course, right behind Sejak. And man, that's that 458. I haven't heard a V8 Ferrari like that for a while. Sounds great, that thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you would say that. Now that you've just gone and bought one. And it's not a 458, but a Ferrari V8.
All right.
No, it's a cracking sounding car. It's a 9,000 RPM out the box, that car. It's the last naturally aspirated V8 Ferrari ever made, and probably likely to have ever been made as well, with Jesus behind the wheel, piloting it in 8th position. Meanwhile, 2nd, 3rd and 4th still running nose to tail with one another. Benelli ahead of Jura, ahead of Valerio Gallo as they come over the rise. So all pretty steady at the sharp end of this one, but Serrano doing a good job of having built a gap actually to the trio of drivers. I say fairly steady because Jura is now on the attack against Benelli as they go side by side, and the door is going to open in for Gallo. There's a bit of contact in the mid part of that right-hander there as Benelli just sort of almost they merged into one. The upshot is the Brazilian driver drops 2 places.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that coming. I think now these guys have been waiting to sort of be released from Benelli, and I think we're probably going to see Benelli towards the back of these guys now. He had a good effort having the Mercedes up there, but just hasn't quite had the same level of precision and pace as these guys early on. So keep an eye on Paul Jura, keep an eye on Valerio Gallo to go through the carousel for the 2nd time. Still more than half of this race left, so a lot can happen this one. A lot of pit stops still to come as well. Big question really is whether a lot of these medium runners, are they going to box at the end of this lap?
Yeah, it's interesting looking at the sector times. They all look pretty good out there. I mean, they're not going to be as quick. Oh, it's Drumont is a little bit deep there with Laboutelet all over his rear wing. And I just wonder whether Drumont's mistake is just going to give the opportunity here for Laboutelet to try and attack. And is he going to use that to his advantage? Where are they on the road to Murphy? About 1.3 seconds away from the Irish driver. So they could come into play here as well because Murphy's on a slower compound of tyre and could be a bit of a cork in the bottle. It might favour Laboutelet, it might favour Drumont, depending on how it works out, really. Let's have a look at what happened, meanwhile, with Benelli. So you've got Jura here on the outside. We're in a flat-out part of this circuit, and then Gallo is going to get a bit of a biff. Does a very good job to keep it on the straight and narrow. The upshot is, though, as we said, Benelli losing 2 places.
It was fine. I think it's fine. It's just hard racing, you know. They both came out okay, and I think that, yeah, no overreaction. From my point of view anyway, but I'm not a steward, as much as I try to be.
Oh, Drumont on the inside there of Jay Murphy, and now this is important here for Thomas Laboutelet as well. He needs to get ahead of the Irish driver in that McLaren as soon as he possibly can, because all the time he's stuck behind him, he's losing track position, losing time that he's then going to have to gain back up later on in the race. And is Murphy going to have anything to do with defending it? He is. He sort of parks the car on the apex there, denies an opportunity for Laboutelet. So this is music to the ears of Kylian Drumont. Side by side they go. Laboutelet's got the inside line and surely will now finally take the position, but you know he's lost about a second or so in relation to his compatriots.
Yeah, that is going to be huge for BMW's race there, because now they've lost that slipstream, they've lost that toe, and will he be able to get it back again? We know that Laboutelet has pace in that BMW, but has he got enough to claw back the gap to Kylian Drumont. This is the best pace for him down the straight here. That BMW does have legs, the Subaru does not. So let's see. But Drumont already now coming up to the back of the guys who haven't pitted so far. Oh, Benelli back past Gallo.
Yep, so Benelli on the attack against Valerio Gallo coming down the Dossinger Her then. So the two medium shot runners still squabbling for position. The Mercedes is ahead for now, but what about Gallo in that Honda NSX? He's going to try and retaliate at the end as we come through the fast left hand. And we've already seen side-by-side action between these two. It just about stayed clean last time. This time, Benelli is able to hold firm ahead of the Italian. As Serrano then comes into the pits from the lead of the race. Are the other medium shot runners all coming in? Looks like they are. Aside from Valerio Gallo, he's decided to go for another lap.
Yeah, interestingly, I think that this is where the strategies are going to start to diverge. And nice Alfala did the same thing as well. Also going for the...
So this is interesting actually, because we were talking about this to Mikael Hazal yesterday, who is very much involved as part of balancing the performance of these cars, and he was saying that the mid-engine rear-wheel drive cars, i.e. the Honda NSX, the Lamborghini, etc., they're a bit easier on their tyres compared to the front-engine cars, like the Mercedes, like the BMW, for example, so, like the Lexus. So maybe they're using that mid-engine layout and they've just got a bit more tyre life in their pocket compared to their competitors, and that's what is giving them the comfort to carry on.
Yeah, but the downside to running those mid-engine cars is they're a bit nicer on turn and they rotate better, but of course that means they're a bit more sketchy. They tend to wear the rears a bit quicker as well. So Gallo might be leading right now, but he's going to have a car that's going to be handling. It's going to be pretty tricky getting this thing around at pace on on these worn medium tyres. But Gallo, we know he's very quick, very capable driver, our 2021 Nations Cup champion, of course. But as you say, yet to taste success in the Manufacturers' Cup.
Be interesting to see a comparison in the lap times here as well between the likes of Gallo and then Kylian Drumont, because they're both on the medium competitive tyres. Of course, Gallo's been on those from the start. Drumont has changed from the softs onto the medium, so they're both worn tyres, but Drumont's are in a far better condition compared to Valerio Gallo. Where were we last time around? So Gallo was an 8:09, but of course we saw Drumont pitting last time around as well. So we'll keep an eye on the different sector times. At the moment, Gallo is looking pretty handy at the sharp end of this one. So let's see how he can work this one out, and also what the likes of Drumont and Laboutelet can do. But the gap between Drumont and Laboutelet, we saw it increasing courtesy of Jay Murphy sort of interjecting between the two. It's now up to 1.6 seconds, so out of slipstreaming range.
Importantly, Gallo has got something that not really anyone else has right now, which is a nice big clear circuit in front of him. So right now he's just driving into that gap and trying to make as much of a gap as possible.
Now, I was talking about Mikael Hazal a few moments ago. This is by Magic. He's come and joined us. Oh. Commentary box. Mick, great to have you here. How are you?
Hey, good, and you guys?
Very good. All the better for having you here. This is going to be, I think, the thinking driver's race, this one, isn't it? There's a lot of different strategies going on in terms of tyres and in terms of fuel. How do you see this one working out? Who, in your opinion, having watched it from the sidelines at the moment, is in a prime position?
So, you already talked about the tyre wear before, the different strategies where some of the other drivers already went into the pits at the end of lap 2. Personally, when I saw that, I was already quite surprised to see them coming in so early, because normally you would try to use the softer tyre compound as long and as much as possible. So I'm kind of scared of their second lap on the soft tyre compound, so we might see some drama towards the end of the race.
So this is for the drivers that pitted and they're on the medium tyres at the moment. They're going to do 2 laps on the hard. Let's have a look here. This is what cost Laboutelet ultimately against Jay Murphy. Murphy doing his own race, entitled to be in that position, but Laboutelet, of course, has now hemorrhaged time to Drumont, and that's a big gap that he's now going to make up.
Yeah, but I think in those moments, if you're Jay Murphy, you know you're going to get passed by that guy. There's no point fighting, and you both cost each other time at that point. So I mean, as you say, definitely his own race, but he just cost himself time at the end. But Mick, of course, you've driven here tons of times. Virtually, you know these cars inside out. What would you say is the key factor to getting around here quickly and in one piece? I mean, all these different guys, different machinery as well. So,
I think the biggest factor for this track is confidence. If you don't have the confidence to use the curbs or to know your car well around the circuit, then you're automatically going to end up losing a lot of time here. And we are already talking about the longest circuit in the world. So obviously there are a few cars on the track here which are like easy to drive compared to a few other cars here, such as the Honda and the Ferrari, in my opinion, are a bit harder to drive than some of the other FR cars out there. But nevertheless, we are talking about the best drivers here in the world, and usually I also expect them to have like a lot of confidence in their own car.
So we have Kylian Drumont now in the Subaru going up the inside of Giorgio Mangano, just lets him through there. As you said before, just making sure to lose as little time as possible. And with Valerio Gallo, he's gone for that third lap on the medium tyres. They're pretty worn right now. That car's mid-engine. What can he be expecting handling-wise now for the second half of this lap?
I think he should be still fine towards the end of the lap, because I expect him to do either one lap on a hard tire and then to finish off the race on 2 laps on softs, because normally the lighter your car is, it's also going to be more gentle on your tires, and I think that's the objective of Valerio here.
Well, we're talking about the difference between the medium tyres and who's on worn tyres and who's on less worn tyres. Drumont, of course, changed over from the softs at the start of this one over to the medium tyres. He's now, of course, driving like he's left the gas on here, really, isn't he? Because he's up into third place ahead of Giorgio Mangano. And again, that gap between himself and Thomas Laboutelet, I mean, it's not really increased. It's still about 1.5 seconds, relatively speaking. But, it's pretty stable between those two at the moment. So be keen to see how quickly Laboutelet is going to be able to dispose of Mangano here. Because, again, this could cost him time. And ultimately, it's going to mean that he's going to have to try and make that time up later on in the race.
I'm also a bit scared to see Mangano, due to the tire life of his medium tires at the moment, is going to hold up Thomas Laboutelet from the downhill section onwards. But maybe he can also try to overtake Mangano like Kylian did on Jay Murphy on the previous lap. If he's able to do that, then it's still anything open for the fight for the victory.
Well, catching the wrong driver at the wrong time on this circuit, as you well know, is a difficult thing to have to contend with. How do you manage that frustration inside the cockpit when you know you've got a quicker car, you know you're going to be able to find your way through? How do you do it?
Let me tell you, I'm glad there's not a mic in that cockpit, because you should hear me. I mean, you might have heard the Frank Stippler thing from a little while ago.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Either that, or I am glued to the high beam button. Get out of the way, move. There you go, yeah. Through goes the Laboutelet there, getting it done. Again, I think Mangano, Giorgio's been around for a long time. He knows the score. He's not going to sit there on the racing line and cost them both time. But gets out of the way, does it in a way that costs him as little time as possible. But they're good for now. Interestingly, Gallo's gap at the front has gone up now to 7 seconds. It was 4.9 at the start of the lap, but of course he hasn't pitted yet as well. So Drumont and Gallo, the ones to watch right now, I think, as well as Laboutelet also has taken his pit stop.
So how's this one going to play out? Because of course Drumont and Laboutelet, they're going to be on the hard tyres for the closing stages of this race, whereas the likes of Valerio Gallo, he started on the medium, he's on the medium, so he's going to run the softs and the hards. The drivers that run the hards at the moment, you've got Serrano, Ura and Benelli, so they're sort of taking the pain now in this middle stint of the race, hoping that, of course, when they get into the latter stage of it, that they're going to be able to just drive through and wait for the seats to part, essentially.
That's true, but I think because of them only using the medium tires for 2 laps only, I see they want to use the soft tire compound for 2 laps as well. I'm just a little bit scared to see that the end of the second lap is going to be so, I don't want to say bad, but really, really slow for them, so that they can even see the finish flag in the end. So.
Look at the closing speed here for Laboutelet on Althea, then going through on the Dottinger up into third place then for Thomas Laboutelet. So those are your 2 effective race leaders here, Drumont and Laboutelet at the moment. Though they're in second and third on the road, of course, Gallo, as we know, still has a pit stop. He makes that pit stop now. Goes for the medium tyres. Which way is he going to go in terms of this one? Surely it will be hard tyres for a middle stint and then soft tyres towards the end, or are they going to ignore that strategy and just do something completely different? Let's see how it is going to work out. Either way, Gallo has gone a lap longer than some of his other competitors, and it seems to have made it work okay so far, and he actually goes for the soft tyres, so he's going to have the hard tyres at the end of that one. Is that the way you'd have gone, Mick?
Wait, I'm just realising, Kylian and Thomas started the race on soft tyres, right?
Did, yeah.
So did they only do 2 laps on mediums?
Let's have a look. We've got they did 3 laps on mediums according to
okay.
Did one lap on soft tyres, then change over to the medium tyres.
Okay, then I was just seeing something wrong. My bad, I apologise.
Sorry about it, we've all been there.
Like, what? What are you doing?
I got scared for a second there, but...
Well, so look, the upside is now you've got Drummond and Laboutelet. They're now on the hard tyres to the end of this race, aren't they? They're not going to be pitting again because it'll be completely pointless, you would assume.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, because obviously, the time you're going to lose, even if you went onto the soft tyres, it's not enough time that you would gain, essentially, even if you were on a quick compound at the end of this one. So they're now in a position where, from now until the checker flag, they're losing time compared to everybody else that's behind them. You've got Serrano, Euro and Benelli. They're on the hard tyres for the middle stint. What they're trying to do, I guess, is eat these out so they can get as fresh a soft tyres as they can for the end of it.
That's one of the plans they have, but on the same time to have as less fuel as possible.
Right.
Because for this race, we are using times for tyre wear around the circuit, which is a lot. Like once your tyres are like in a really bad shape, you're going to end up losing a lot of time compared to the other drivers who have like much fresher tyres than you. And yeah, I assume at the end of this lap we might see Serrano going to go into the pits as well as Paul Ura and Lucas Bonelli, unless they might go for a bit safer strategy to continue the race or like continue to do another lap on the hard tyre compound and finish off on the soft.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? You do 2 laps on the soft tyre, you can do it if you're the tyre whisperer, but it's, we were talking about it before the start of this race. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yes, because if you want to do 2 laps on the softs, your out lap alone has to be so gentle. Because once you do like Kilian did here, like a slide on the tyres, it's going to affect your tyre wear in the end. And with times 4 for the soft tyre compounds, this is something that tyre doesn't like in the end.
Really interesting insights there from Mick Gazelle. I've been keeping an eye on the front of the field, Tony Serrano and Paul Ura there on the hard compounder tyre. I mean, never count these guys out. We know how quick the Spanish duo are. Serrano now 4 seconds the good of Paul Ura in that Porsche. What do you think, Mick? Do you reckon that strategy is the one? I mean, they're out on their own. I mean, they're on the hard tyre, but there's no one around them, not losing speed.
I think this might not be too bad to be on your own, because we've already seen with Kilian Drummond and Thomas Laboutelet on the previous lap. If you are like getting stuck with traffic in front of you, you're going to end up losing a lot of time, which is not really optimal for your own stint. So if you're like on your own, you can also dictate your own race. And yeah, let's see. I think the end of the race is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, another look there of the pass of Laboutelet on Mangano last lap. Back to lap 4, and we see that Laboutelet has gone right back up to the rear spoiler of Kilian Drummond. That 1.5 second gap gone as well. There is a fuel to consider in this race as well, so he might have put a little bit less in. Looking at he's got about the same fuel as Drummond right now. So very, very close. And that's really basically happened because Jay Murphy went onto on the medium compounder tyre and overtook them both and put them back together again. Yeah, it's interesting how it sort of caused this bottleneck effect now really here with Jay Murphy, again, being the cork in the bottle. We saw that with Laboutelet in the opening stages of this race, and he sort of ended up back in exactly the same position here with Alifa, Drummond and Laboutelet right on his rear wing, and let's see whether it's going to cost them time. I mean, Alifa here, again, he's not in a race with effectively what is the top 2, and all the while they're stuck behind him. They're just hemorrhaging time corner by corner. They need to try and find their way through sooner rather than later.
But even if you want to let the other drivers behind you through because they're like in their own race and a different strategy, doing it at this circuit is so difficult to do, which some of the other drivers are also underestimating in the end.
Oh, look at that! Drummond getting aggressive, and Alifa into the wall! Side by side they go. That's going to cost Drummond. It might even open the door here for Laboutelet to find his way through. Amazingly, they all managed to exit the corner in exactly the same positions and indeed the same direction as they entered, but that was pretty aggressive and robust. A little bit scrappy from Kilian Drummond there.
Just as Mick was saying it there, he had to make the move. You have to just go for it sometimes. But it requires the other driver to let it happen. And right now there, Nathan Alifa did not allow that. But now putting indicator on after the damage is done, I think, all right, I'm sorry, I'll get out of the way. And for good measure, hip check on the way by. These guys are not hanging around, but more importantly, all that time they spent there behind the Lamborghini has meant they've all lost time to the field. So what was a strong start for both Drummond and Laboutelet might change now. Now, if you're Laboutelet, do you go for the pass here? You've got the opportunity to do so. You're into the toe.
Well, it has worked beautifully here for Laboutelet, hasn't it? Because if you remember, they had a 1.5 second gap a couple of laps ago, and it's brought the Frenchman right back onto the rear wing. of the Subaru here and brought him back into contention effectively for what could be the victory of this race. So let's see how this one is going to work out. We're heading towards the middle part of the lap, in towards the carousel section. There's no overtaking through this part of the lap, not unless you fancy getting your Christmas dinner through a straw. And Le Boutelet sitting in the wheel tracks of the Subaru as they come through this fantastically famous banked corner, arguably the most historical part of the Nordschleife layout.
I'm interested to see, Tom, sorry to cut over there, what Gallo's doing, because he's now sort of stuck behind the first two that are on hard tyres. Let's have a look at this one more time. Yeah, slowest part of the circuit there, and there's just no gap for error. As soon as there's contact, you find yourself just going straight towards the barrier. Dumont there thinking, oops, probably shouldn't have done that.
If you're a steward, Mick, we saw it was under investigation. Are you going to be looking at that? And is that cause for a penalty, do you think?
Personally, I'm not the person who wants to decide like those kind of incidents here. But if I want to make those kind of moves, I would be a bit smarter in the end. Because for sure, you don't want to end up losing a lot of time due to the driver in front of you having worse tires than you. And you also have like your opponent literally being behind of you.
Exactly as Jimmy said, by the way. Look at this. He's all over the back of Paul Ura like a bad rash here, trying to get his way past. Of course, Gallo on the soft component tyre, Ura on the hard tyres. Fuel to consider here as well for the front runners. Look how much less fuel Serrano has got compared to Ura. He's got, 13 litres fewer.
This is a nightmare for Gallo. He spent the entirety of the last half of the lap here stuck behind a guy on hard tyres. He's just basically wasting that soft tyre life. I mean, maybe good for his plan, Nick. Maybe he's going to go try and do soft tyre for 2 laps. He can just sort of let the tyre rest a little bit. But I think it's not worth the time, surely.
Yeah, I think it plays in the hands of Paul Ura in the end, because not only can he hold Valerio Gallo behind of him, who's like on the soft tyre compound at the moment, but once he uses the soft tyre compound later on, he will have much fresher tyres than Valerio on that stage.
Yeah, and also look at Lucas Bonelli. He's keeping him right in play here behind in that Mercedes as well. And Bonelli in this race still owns the soft compound of tyre as well. Now let's see what the slipstream is going to be like here for Valerio Gallo and for Lucas Bonelli. Ura is surely going to be a sitting duck. Gallo pulls to his inside, and you would imagine you're going to see Lucas Bonelli going through before too long. There he is, stage right. And Ura losing 2 places down the Döttinger. So now you've got a Honda and an AMG in front of a Mazda for second and third at this stage of the race. Now let's see what Gallo can do in the closing stages of this one, as Serrano does finally pit from the race lead. He had no choice, he's got no fuel left.
Yeah, he had to box there. Comes the Boutelet on. Look at that speed difference there on the Subaru, like it's standing still. There goes the team BMW and Thomas Boutelet up into what will be, we think, the overall lead, but we don't know. Right now it's for 10th on circuit, everyone's pitting in, so it'll all shake out once it's done. Oh, a little bit of a sideways moment there. You can see Thomas now really trying to get the hammer down.
So Ura then comes into the box, as well as De Bruyne. Serrano's in there as well, and we're going to see a smorgasbord of drivers, I'm sure, going on to the soft compound of tyres for the closing stages of this one, which is, as we know, going to handicap those who are in front. And we've got, 2 laps now remaining. And 2 laps on any normal circuit, not that long of a time. 2 laps, though, at the Nürburgring 24-hour layout. You've got time to make it work.
Speaking of which, because I had another look on the tyre history in terms of the strategy, and it is true. Thomas Laboutelet and Kylian Drummer used the medium tyres for 2 laps only, and not 3.
There we go.
So I have no idea why they think that 3 laps on the hard tyres is the best strategy here, but
there you go, guys.
We will see that in the end, because I would like to see myself getting wronged here.
the person behind balancing the cars does not know what's happening.
Yeah,
got no idea. But I did notice though the tyre wear of Valerio Gallo. Those rear tyres looking very sorry for themselves already, and he's not even onto the Nordschleife yet. So if Valerio keeps together, it's going to be an amazing effort. But I do think that I think being stuck behind the slower cars, pushing a bit too hard in that first lap might have cost him. We'll see though. We stay with Le Boutelet and Drummond. These guys have been glued together all race. Good news though for Le Boutelet is he's got a 12-second gap in front of him, so he can just drive now into that gap. But of course, one eye in the mirror from this man at Subaru. I mean, Mick, you know the Subaru pretty well.
Yes.
How do you describe the characteristics of that car?
It's like through the high-speed corners, it feels amazing because it has so much downforce, and it's the fastest car, like Group 3 car-wise, through the high-speed corners. But like here, you can see the way how Kylian uses the gear for the exit of the corners. Like you have this car, like if you want to drive the rear set quite well. You have to use like way higher gear in order to use the turbo boost already before exiting out of the corner. So because of that, it's really, really tricky to extract the most performance out of the gear set. But if somebody can do it, it's Kilian.
So what we now need to look at in this race, you've got Le Boutelet in 5th, Drumont in 6th position, but the gap between Serrano, Jura, etc., all behind. So the gap is what, 6.8 seconds. Keep an eye on that over the remaining 2 laps now of this race, because that is the effective battle for the race lead. From 1st to 4th, they've still got they owe another pit stop, and once they come into the pits, the lost time means that they're going to drop back into the mid-pack. Where that is remains to be seen, but for the overall victory of this race, you've got 2 hard job runners of Le Boutelet and Drumont, and then you've got a plethora of soft runners all behind who are going to be, I'm sure, nipping at their heels.
No, interesting. One of those drivers, one of our new drivers, Sejak, right now in 3rd place. He's got the soft tyre left at the end of this, so he's going to bolt on the soft tyre on this last lap, and he's not too far off the lead. He'll be catching Benelli as this lap goes on that medium compounded tyre. I think he'll start catching Gallo as well, because he's going to start falling off big time, I think, towards the end of the lap. So don't count out Team Nissan. They're looking strong. He's got a lot of fuel in there as well, so keep an eye on Sejak.
Yeah, former Manufacturers' Cup champions, Team Nissan, just to remind you as well. They won it, when was it? Was it last year, year before? I can't remember now. Was it?
Around 2 years ago.
It was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
On that
Look at this, Drumont and Le Boutelet, and Drumont is back through all the while we're wistfully talking about Nissan winning the Manufacturers' Cup. Drumont has sent one through on Le Boutelet, 4th, 5th position then. And the thing they need to be careful of here is if they start getting involved in a battle, if they start squabbling amongst one another, it's going to cost them time. It's going to close that gap down. I mean, already, we're what, a third of a way through this lap? It's come down by nearly a second.
I mean, we talk about guys squabbling together. This doesn't happen with these guys, Serrano and Jura. I always see these guys on circuit, and they always drive to the maximum. Even if one is thinking, oh, maybe I'm a bit quicker, he won't go for a move, he'll just stay there, and then maybe pass in a place that makes sense. So working together are the 2 Spanish drivers, Serrano and Jura. 7th and 8th currently now. A reminder, top 6 get points. Of course, you want to be as high up as possible, but sometimes grabbing a point is nice. And if you're Team Lexus, down in 11th place, not even off the board yet, this is not looking good for you in your championship retention.
Yeah, Lexus not having a particularly good run, I think, so far in the 2025 Gran Turismo World Series. And Giorgio Mangano just sort of compounding that, really. His race was sort of over by the first corner when he got caught up in all of that drama. Just a point, actually, as well, with Serrano and Jura. If you remember back to the Nations Cup in London last time when we were out, they had very respectful and clean racing right up until the last lap. But as you say, they were pushing one another very, very hard, but just not really sort of ducking and diving and going for those dive bomb moves and working together quite nicely right up until the moment when they couldn't work together anymore.
I mean, Mick, you've raced with a lot of these guys, of course. You race them at home, and of course, these events as well as Paul Jura, I think, there finally gets past Serrano. So Jura now moving up into the lead of the Spanish duo. You race a lot of these guys at home. I mean, when you're in this situation, you've got a lap and a bit to go. Do you sort of think, oh, I know this guy's going to give me room, I know he's going to race me, or do you think, okay, it's out the window now, it's every man for themselves?
Usually, at this stage of the race, everybody thinks of their own race in the end, because it's like you only have like one more lap to go, so why should I even work with you in the end? Unless there's somebody else in front of you who you both might catch up in the end. So that's why you both might try to work together, and I think this is also the case for Paul Jura and Jose Serrano, because we might see another position change at the end of the Döttinger Hill between those two, so that they can also try to minimize the gap to Kilian and to Thomas as much as they can.
Gap down to 4.5 seconds now between Le Boutelet and Drumont as well as Jura. So, that gap, as we said, it's shrunk by 1.5 seconds over the course of this one. Gallo's Dunlop tyres, though, are going to be crying out for mercy at the end of this lap. He's got to come in for the hard tyres at the end of this one, which is going to put him a bit further down the order than he would like to be. He's got Lucas Benelli, who, as we can see, is on the hard combat of tyres, and those two tyres are nowhere near one another in terms of the performance. About 9 seconds it is between the pace difference over the course of this lap. So that just goes to show you how worn out those soft tyres now are and how much performance it's costing the Italian.
This is typical Valera, though. He just maximises everything. Usually goes over the line, but he will have a go. Like, he will never just go, oh, I'll play it safe. Always goes for maximum performance as Gallo. But right now, as you say, he's going to be really struggling with the rear of that car, just getting that power down, let the car, you see it's just moving out the corners. Luckily, Then you've got a couple of corners left and there's huge straight, so that will keep it
wide.
there. But yeah, he's wide there. Benelli's through. He just can't hold on anymore. Those soft tyres have just fallen off. But do you reckon he got the best out of that? Do you reckon that was a good gamble for him, Mick?
Not really, because at first he also got hauled up by Paul Ura, I believe it was, where he also lost a lot of time there. And now, due to the end of the second lap, where the soft tires are not even there anymore, basically, you were able to see how close Lucas Bonelli was behind Valerio throughout the entire lap.
I really think, I'm looking, sorry, we have access to the fuel numbers here. I'm sorry you guys don't at home, but right now the person with the most fuel in the top 4 is Sejak by quite some way. He's got 20 litres of fuel in the car right now to 6 and 4 and 7 from Jesus. So although Gallo is getting by here, there'll be a pit stop for the top 4 now, and I think we're going to see the Nissan driver probably come out in the lead.
Yeah, he'll come out in front of that group of drivers. Where will he emerge, though, in relation to everybody else that's behind? Because they've got about 10 seconds or so. Look at this, though. Side by side as Gallo tries to fight it back against Lucas Bonelli. They're both going to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. They've got no choice. And how's this one going to work out in terms of fuel? Well, Gallo's got a couple of litres left, less in his tank compared to Lucas Bonelli. Sejak, as we said, is the outlier here. He's done a great job of just sort of being a bit anonymous in the middle stint, but saving fuel quite nicely.
And saving the soft tyre as well. Drumont and, of course, Nobutse will go on to the last lap, but they are going to be chased now by a hard-charging Sejak on that soft compounder tyre. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, one lap of soft tyres is going to be a very welcome sight indeed. So let's see how this one is going to work out. So Drumont now goes through and into the lead. Laboutelet as well. Valerio Gallo is going to emerge back onto the circuit, but where is Sejak? He's up into, 6th place, but he's got a brand new set of soft tyres relative to those in front who are a lap old. So he's going to be surely right on their heels and snapping away.
Right, so we have Serrano and Ura both out there on that 2-lap, or will be now a 2-lap old soft tyre. They will come off towards the end. Drumont and Nobutse out there on what is a 3-lap old hard tyre, so they're going to have tyre life, but it might fall away from them still.
But what we saw at the end of that last lap between Bonelli and between Gallo, the soft tyre and the hard tyre, when they were really towards the end of their life, pretty even in terms of performance. So this is pretty much anybody's guess. At the moment, it's advantage here for Serrano and Ura, but how much tyre life have they got left? Are they going to be able to eke it out to the end of this lap? This is where the tension has begun to build, it's begun to bubble up, and surely it's going to boil over before the end of this race.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Sejak was a little bit slower than he was there, but I thought it was a bit closer, but not quite there. Mick, I mean, all the cards are on the table now. Call a winner.
Put it all on red.
It's that easy.
I still have to be a bit analytical. What is the thing like an expert here? But you have to think that Serrano has to try to pass through Thomas first. Yeah. So automatically, because of that, he's going to end up losing some time, which is going to help Kilian. So Kilian is potentially in a really, really good position because we already saw on the previous lap how much Valerio was struggling towards the end of the lap, on the second lap on the soft, and how close Lucas Bonelli was behind of him because of that. So it's going to be really close, but I think Kilian has got this.
There you go. Well, Mick, mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Great, good to get your actual expert analysis other than us just guessing the entire time.
A man who knows what he's talking about for once in the commentary. Mick Gazal joins us here. Thank you very much to him. So we are now on the final lap of action here at the Nürburgring 24-hour layout, and it is Kilian Drumont ahead of Thomas Laboutelet. Both those drivers on the hard compound of tyre. 2 seconds the gap between themselves and Jose Serrano, with Pol Ura just a few tenths of a second down the road. I have to say, Jimmy, I think Sejak's race depends on how quickly he can dispose of Kai de Bruyne in 5th.
Yeah, I got to say, I thought it was a bit further on the road than he was there, so I got a little bit too excited for that one, I think. But the 2 guys at the front are going to be running the slowest, for a little bit anyway. You know, Tim out of this soft tyre doesn't like going a second lap, but Serrano, Ura and Kai de Bruyne, who's in 5th place right now, 6th place, Sejak's by. Sejak's got by Kai de Bruyne, so Nissan now up into 5th position. And next car on the road after the battle for 3rd position. So let's see. We'll keep an eye on that as the sun starts to go down here at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, well, 5 seconds a gap. You know, you'd say that that's not enough time to catch up, but this is the final lap. This is the Nordschleife. For 5 seconds, it's not that difficult to sort of close that gap down over a lap as long as this one. Let's see the move then for the Polish driver in the Nissan against the Dutchman in the Toyota. He's going to switch it back to the inside. That is beautifully smooth there. De Bruyne just gives him racing room on the inside, and smooth and sweet as you like for Mikolaj Sejak as he elevates himself up into 5th place as he chases a podium down for Nissan here.
That was lovely move. You just carry the speed there and just up the inside of Ironman, nothing they can do by the time they see you move done. So the Bouteille falling off the back of Kylian Drumont, of course. At the moment, that would be 6 points for Team Subaru, 5 for Team BMW. Keep their dream alive, but that would be a double win if Kylian Drumont can keep this going for now. Behind them, Serrano and Ura, the Spanish duo, both on the soft compounder tyre, but they're on lap 2 of that soft compounder tyre, which means to about now it's going to be feeling pretty second hand. But then behind them, to keep things even more interesting, is Sejak in the Nissan there on brand new softs and driving fast right now.
Yeah, just looking at the sector times, it's pretty even between the 2 hard and the 2 soft runners at the sharp end of this one. 46, 6s and 7s. Mikolaj Sejak on the new soft tyres, 45.8. That's in sector 8 on this lap. That's the most recent one that the drivers have gone through. Just to give you an idea, so he's nearly 6 or 7 tenths of a second quicker. He's decreased the gap down to nearly 3 seconds. He is going to be all over their rear wings to the end of this one. The question is, though, are we going to see Serrano and Ura closing up onto the back of Le Bouteille? They're now closing up onto the back of one another and going side by side as Ura goes ahead of the Porsche. Now, has Ura got enough in his pocket to get onto the back of Le Bouteille and Drumont for the victory here?
So here we go then, up into the last lap here at the Nürburgring. Into the night, lights illuminating the green Hell. Kylian Drumont there, spit of flame from the exhaust from the BRZ. It's been a great drive from both of these drivers. Both Subaru and BMW have knocked it out of the park in terms of consistency, but now they're on that slower tyre, the hard tyre. It lasts a long time, but it's not fast. And Ura and Serrano, I think actually, if anything, the charges sort of come to a little bit of a halt. They haven't quite got that same speed they had before earlier in the lap. But I'm still keeping an eye on 5th place. Sejak there on that new tyre. Through here, this section, very, very mechanical grip dependent. So if your tyres are good, you're going to be fast through here.
I think that Sejak could be on for a podium here. I don't know if the victory is going to be quite on the cards, but I think a podium could be a possibility, which on his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series would be a very welcome result indeed, for not only for him, but also for Nissan. He's just 18 years old, is Mikolaj Sejak, and this has been a brilliant strategy call so far. Drumont and Le Bouteille sitting pretty even Stevens at the sharp end of this one. Let's see De Bruyne. He's lost the place here to Lucas Benelli. There's contact, more contact, a little bit more contact. Oh, it's fairly robust. It sends De Bruyne off onto the grass on the outside, and Benelli getting pretty robust there, finding his way through.
He was there, Tom, for that. He was only just on the rear bumper, but that's not our job to think about it right now. Our job is to look at this as we now come through Flansgarten for the first time. Hop goes the car into the right hander using that high-speed aero grip of the BRZ. 1.1 seconds is a gap. Now, Drumont knows if that gap is any less than like 7 tenths or so, he's going to be a sitting duck on that straight. So he's pushing hard through this last section. Can Le Bouteille give an answer in these last few corners before the Dot into her?
I think it's going to be tough for Le Bouteille. Again, pretty even in terms of the tyre wear. Ura and Serrano's challenge is going to be coming to an end, but look an eye out in the background. Cue the Jaws music, because Mikolaj Sejak in the Nissan is now all over the rear wing of Jose Serrano for 4th position. He's about half a second or so away, and there's one big long straight remaining, and now you can see just how close that gap is between the 3 machines and the 3 drivers. Ura in 3rd in the Mazda, Serrano in 4th in the Porsche, Sejak in 5th in the Nissan. They come onto the Döttinger for the final time. Le Bouteille versus Drumont. The gap is about 1.5 seconds, and they're out of slipstreaming range as it stands for now then. So if Drumont can just keep himself on the straight and narrow, it's all eyes on the battle for the final podium place. And here we go then. Serrano splits the middle, Ura as well. But here comes Mikolaj Sejak on the inside in the Nissan. Has he got the straight line speed? Has he got the advantage to try and use it? The headlights illuminating the darkness as they blast their way down at nearly 300 kilometers an hour, 3 abreast. Sejak on the inside, Serrano in the middle, Ura on the outside as we come over the rise. Ura gets through and into 3rd. Serrano versus Sejak for 4th place as they come into the final corners of this race. And are they going to make it? Sejak goes through on the outside to the chicken flag. Kylian Drumont takes victory for Subaru here in Berlin ahead of Le Bouteille, and 3rd for Mikolaj Sejak for Nissan. What a phenomenal end to this race on his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series. Mikolaj Sejak gets a podium position. Absolutely fantastic.
What a move from Sejak. That's move of the race right there. Just switch back on the last possible moment. And you know Paul Euro saw it, was like, oh no, he's there. Use the grunt of the GTR, and third place on debut for the 18-year-old here in the Manufacturers' Cup. What a result there for Sejak and Team Nissan. But of course, your winner, Kylian Drumont, Team Subaru, take another win here in the Manufacturers' Cup. Laboutelet second, and Nissan and Sejak third. Thoroughly enjoyable race here in Nürburgring. Of course, another one that was down to strategy ultimately. And I think maybe Serrano and Euro would think a little bit better of that afterwards. But very fun viewing, and Drumont looking pretty chill after that.
That's 2 wins from 2 races for Subaru in the Manufacturers' Cup. That maximum points in the Gran Turismo World Series. We saw Miyazono pulling an absolute blinder in London, and we see Drumont pulling an absolute blinder here in Berlin. Well, you have to feel a bit sorry for the likes of Serrano and for Euro. They gave it as good as they got. Wrong place, wrong time, and ultimately the wrong strategic call for them at the checkered flag. Amazingly, that race started in daylight, and it started with Drumont and Laboutelet on the soft compound of tyres, streaking away from the rest of the field.
I think ultimately this is what put them in a position to fight for the end of the race, just having that little bit of a gap at the start to drive into, really utilising that soft tyre. We see this, if you don't start from the soft at the front, you're sort of making a mistake. But early on, there's a bit of contact. Unfortunately, Giorgio Mangano, in his return here to the Manufacturers' Cup, ejected pretty much instantly, and you can see there probably thinking, ah man, not how I wanted to start my race.
No, not at all there for him, and Drumont's race, Mangano's race rather, I should say, went from bad to worse then really. This was Drumont with Al Faleh, then the Saudi Arabian driver, having a bit of contact, and we wonder whether that might ultimately cost him, and a shake of the head there for the debutant, not the way he'll have wanted to have bounced onto the scene in the GT World Series. Laboutelet and Drumont kept each other pretty honest, despite the gap ebbing and flowing, and we wonder whether that might have a bearing on the race. Ultimately, they were pretty much nose to tail as we came on to start the final lap, but they were on the hard tyres relative to 2 drivers behind of Euro and Serrano, who were on the soft tyres, but ultimately those soft tyres were pretty worn, pretty clapped out towards the end, and they ran out of steam. Drumont went on to take victory ahead of Laboutelet, but Sejak, with new soft tyres in the closing stages, moved of the race to go through and snatch the final podium position at the checkered flag by the smallest of margins, just a few hundredths of a second separating those 3 drivers. Confirmation of the results then here in Berlin. Kylian Drumont makes it 2 wins in 2 races for Subaru in the Manufacturers' Cup. Laboutelet in second for BMW, and Mikołaj Sejak, the Polish driver, on his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series, finishing P3 for Team Nissan ahead of Serrano, Euro, and then Lucas Benelli snatching a point for Mercedes AMG as well. So phenomenal job from them, and I make that Mercedes AMG's first point of the season as well. So they'll be finally glad to get onto the scoreboard. Great race though here in Berlin. Let's go down to Jules and see what's going down on the floor.
Foxed by everyone.
Yes, I'm joined by Mikołaj and Thomas. Okay, first of all, take a breath. We just dragged them off from their seats, but give them a big round of applause. That was some massive, incredible racing. Mikołaj, okay, I've slightly lost my voice from the last second of that race, but I mean, how was it for you? That was intense as heck.
Incredibly difficult. Like, there's no other way to put it, really. Starting on the hards from so high up, I knew everyone was going to try and bully my way past, but I couldn't anticipate just how many people were on the mediums, for example. So, you know, it was quite difficult trying to let everyone by without losing a crazy amount of time. And then doing the second lap on the hards, I was like, ugh, it's going to be really painful, this one. Because I was tagging Joao along so he could save fuel as well. I wanted it to be the other way around, hence why I let him go on lap 3. You know, at that point in the race, I was like, yeah, I know the mediums is going to be a bit difficult to make it work. So if I can follow a slightly slower car, I could save my fuel, save my tyres, and give myself a bit more push towards the end, which worked out really well.
I mean, it did. It worked out great. That's pretty good. But like, I mean, seriously, this is your first event.
Yeah.
You just come here and you're like, oh, by the way, everybody, I'm just going to take a podium because that's how we do it. That's some pretty, sort of slapping your gloves down on the podium there, drawing a line in the sand. How do you feel?
Pretty good, yeah.
Good. It's good, right? It's good.
Yeah,
You're going to come back again,
absolutely
yeah?
Brilliant, yeah, maybe. With Aston Martin, though, with Aston Martin. Maybe not in the V12 Vantage, but we'll see.
Well, huge congratulations. Thomas, first of all, give a big round of applause. That was an incredible fight. That was a wild fight between you and Killian. I mean, it really could have gone either way. Like, how do you feel that it went? Is there anything you could have done differently? But I mean, I think your strategy was solid.
Yeah, I think it went great. With Killian, we decided to go on the alternate strategy. I was a bit worried because we thought maybe the MR cars of Josete and Ura would catch up at the end, but I think that tires died a bit too much at the end, and when I saw I gained time through Flugplatz at the end of the last lap, I knew it was a done deal for the P1 and 2 for the French, so that was really good. And yeah, otherwise we had a lot of traffic, so I thought as well with the traffic we would lose too much time. And we also went safe with the tire wear. We only did 2 laps on the mediums, but it worked out. So yeah, I'd like to congratulate Nikolai, obviously, for his first event, and Killian also for doing the race together and working on it. So yeah, perfect.
I mean, it's a real tough track. Like, if you make any kind of wrong decisions, it's kind of all too over, right? So
I had a few scary moments with the traffic. So
I think everybody had a few scary moments in that. We had some scary moments just watching you.
Yeah, with the McLaren and the Lamborghini. Yeah.
Well, look, huge congratulations to you both. That was a stellar drive from both of you. Let's throw it back to Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers, Jules. Huge congratulations to Thomas Labuschagne, to Nikolai Sejak there as well. And the point standings then after 2 rounds of the Gran Turismo World Series in 2025 sees Subaru taking a clean sweep of things so far. But BMW, best of the rest. The bridesmaid on 2 occasions now. They're still only 2 points behind there, Jimmy.
Yeah, really close at the top there, and just goes to show that, you know, it's quite consistent results going on here. Porsche getting off the mark there, thanks to Jose Serrano, up to 5th there on 3 points. But Lexus, Lamborghini, Honda and Ferrari yet to score. You have to think it's probably already too late for these guys now. Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it? You've got Nissan and Mazda, as you say, tied on points there as well for 3rd in the standings. Likewise, Porsche and Toyota and AMG and McLaren as well. So phenomenal job there. Let's catch up though with Kylian Drumont, the winner for Team Subaru. 2 from 2 for that team here in 2025. He's down on the floor catching up with Jules.
Yes, I'm here with the winner, Kylian Drumont for Subaru. How are you doing?
I'm going good, yeah.
You seem so calm. You just smashed it and you're like, yeah, whatever. You seem really chill.
I mean,
now.
Yeah, now I'm chill, but after you have the Nations Cup, so I'm still nervous. But now for the manufacturers, I was like, okay, less nervous for the. But after the nervous going up, you know. So.
I mean, obviously, you and Thomas had like a great strategy straight from the start. Did you kind of feel that you had that edge over him, or was it kind of you weren't too sure?
Yeah, after the qualifying, I said to Thomas, okay, we need to go out about everyone. So I mean, with the Subaru, we don't have a good top speed, so we need to go off and just no battles and to start to be quick on the first lap. And after the mediums, and I thought, okay, now I was carried a bit about the strategy and also the traffic, but as you can see, I push a bit knife, so it was a bit complicated about these points, but I mean,
it still worked out okay,
yeah,
didn't it?
Yeah.
You did all right.
On the last lap on mediums, I was okay. I was a bit scared, you know.
Honestly, any lap for me is I just find that quite scary. The whole thing, it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
But what would you have to say? So first of all, obviously, it's a double win now, so like no pressure. You got to keep it up, right?
Yeah, we are really good start with Takuma, and now I'm winning. So now I like the wheel for Daniel in the National Juris.
You're like, we've done it all now. Now it's your turn. You better win because we did it all. Okay, no pressure, but.
Still.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say to Mikuláš? This is his first event. That was pretty good, right?
Yeah. I really like it. So.
Yeah. You like some new faces every once in a while?
Yeah, it's good to see new faces. So I mean, that's really quick. That's really good.
Yeah. Well, massive congratulations.
Thank you.
Give a massive round of applause. That is our Manufacturers Cup winner, Kylian Drumont. Back to you, Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah. Huge congratulations to Kylian Drumont and to Team Subaru. Don't forget, you can now vote for your Dunlop Driver of the Day. Was it Kylian Drumont for Team Subaru? Was it Thomas Labuschagne for Team BMW? Or was it Nikolai Sejak for Team Nissan? Get onto YouTube, vote for your Driver of the Day, and whoever wins it will be going home with a big smile on their face.
And a cap, maybe?
Yeah.
Or something?
Why not?
I don't know what we give them nowadays.
The warm feeling inside your heart.
Yeah?
Is
Is that enough?
That's good enough for me. It should be. I'm sure it's good enough for them as well. I mean, that was a phenomenal race, JB. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the podium celebrations are going to be like. Look, Team Subaru have clearly got their strategy, their act together this season. They're already Manufacturers' Cup winners formally as well. Kylian Drummond was part of that outfit a couple of years ago to bring that title to them. How instrumental do you think his performance here this weekend is going to be to their ultimate challenge?
It's just carrying the baton from Miyazono, isn't it? It's going, okay, right, I've done my part. Now I'm going to make sure I do mine here at Berlin. So really impressive from them, and it's going to take a lot to stop them now.
No doubt about it. Well then, let's get ready for the podium ceremony here in Berlin for the Manufacturers' Cup. Drivers making their way on to the stage. In third place for Team Nissan, please welcome from Poland, Mikołaj Sejak. His debut event in the Gran Turismo World Series is rewarded with a finish on the rostrum. Second place, though, goes to France's Thomas Leboutelet, driving for Team BMW. 2 second-place finishes so far for BMW in the 2025 Gran Turismo World Series. And now the winners, 2 wins from 2 for Team Subaru as Kylian Drummond makes his way onto the top step of the podium. What a fantastic job from the Frenchman as they have maximum points at the top of the table. The national anthem of Japan plays out for our winning manufacturer, Team Subaru, making it 2 wins from 2 rounds of the Gran Turismo World Series. Now time for the trophy presentations. Alberto Ferrari, the Brembo Vice President of Brand Management, makes his way onto the stage here in Berlin. To a round of applause from the rapturous crowd here in Germany. He will award the 3rd place trophy to the man making his debut in the Gran Turismo World Series, Mikołaj Sejak from Poland, driving for Team Nissan. Phenomenal job from Sejak and from Nissan. And now we welcome 2nd place, Daniele Schmidt, the BMW M Motorsport Head of Race and Test Organisation. Makes his way onto the stage. And awards a 2nd place trophy then to Thomas Leboutelet for Team BMW. And finally, presenting the winner's trophy, it is Gran Turismo Series producer Kazunori Yamauchi as he makes his way onto the stage here in Berlin to award the winner's trophy for the 2nd time this season to Team Subaru, and for the 1st time in the Manufacturers' Cup this year to Kylian Drummond.
Wow, as always, I know in rehearsal I was like, oh, what a spicy race we had. It was a really spicy race. was ridiculous. I've like lost my voice and I barely was talking.
Well, I've lost my voice and I was talking, so how's about that? We've got another broadcast to come soon as well. No, it was amazing. The Manufacturers' Cup races always sort of work out like that. They're sort of slow burners, but towards the end, they always really come alive. Today was no exception.
What do you think about Miklos? Like, straight out the woodwork, like racing at home, suddenly got in one of the rigs and was like, yeah, all right.
Yes.
I'll show you how it's done.
In that accent, yeah.
Yes.
No, they're super impressed. I said to him before the race, win it, would you? And he goes, no. But to be honest, like, I didn't expect anything. So third place is amazing. Why not?
You need to say that more to more drivers. Well, go on and win it.
Yeah, just go win it. Just win it.
Of course, we've got the Nations Cup coming up in a little bit, but we're still going around the world. This is just round 2. We've got Los Angeles, where the tickets are available right now. Come and join us. Are you going to work on your tan while you're there, Thomas?
Yeah, I've already got plans. Yeah.
Have you?
Topping it up. Yeah. Topping it up.
It's always topping it up. That's our top. And of course, we have the World Finals in Fukuoka, and the tickets are going to go on sale on October the 1st. So my theory is everyone always really wants to go to Japan on a holiday, right? Everyone wants to do it. So why don't you just plan it around a Gran Turismo World Series event and we can see you there?
Great excuse, it's right there.
Well, it's been an absolutely amazing Manufacturers' Cup. We've really, really enjoyed bringing it to you. Don't go anywhere because Nations Cup is still to come and hopefully just as spicy. See you then.
PlayStation